When news first broke of a draft resolution to dismiss Vice President Sara Duterte making the rounds at the Senate, or the impeachment complaint, some thought it was Senator Francis Tolentino's doing. That's because it echoed his sentiment that the impeachment cannot be carried into the 20th Congress. So tonight, let's clarify this from Senator Tolentino himself. Welcome to the big story, Senator.
Good evening, ladies. Good evening, Sean. Good evening to the viewers as well.
There are reports that there are several resolutions actually circulating. Do you have a hand in any of these?
What hand? Left hand or right hand?
Either.
Both hands? Meron po ba?
I was informed, and I was likewise informed that as you said, the contents of the resolution is similar to the statements that I echoed a few days ago, so I appreciate that. So suffice it to say, no resolution has yet been filed.
Earlier, the Senate reporters were able to ambush Senator Bato de la Rosa, and he admitted that the draft reso originated from his office, but he did say that he was inspired by the speech that you gave to the plenary. Senator Tolentino, I just wanted to get your thoughts before making that speech. What was going through your mind and your belief na hindi to pwede tumawid sa 20th Congress? You called it functionally dismissed.
What was going on in my mind? Nasa batas po talaga yan eh. Modesty aside, I've read. I've taken exams, constitutional law. I teach constitutional law. I have studied U.S. constitutional law during my younger days. Talagang hindi pwede. Wala nakalagay na words na carry over. A Congress has a lifespan of its own. And its business would automatically terminate after the lapse of the said Congress.
With all due respect, Senator, a lot of the legal luminaries that we have spoken to, including the UP Department of Law that gave pa this big conference last February, they do not agree with you. Were you able to Bakit po
the difference probably is because of their belief that the Senate is a continuing body. The first Supreme Court decision relative to this is the Arnold case. The Arnold case was decided under the 1935 Constitution, when the Philippine Senate was still although 24 senators. The staggered elections would involve 8 senators per election cycle. Similar to the United States, they have 100 senators, but 67 senators would remain. So theoretically, mathematically, numerically, they would have a quorum as well as a 2/3 vote sufficient to acquit or convict. So ngayon, wala nang ganun ngayon. We only have 12. The rules of the U.S. Senate is practically different from the rules of the Philippine Senate. So all the jurisprudence that I've been saying, no offense to them, won't apply, especially if you mention the Pickering case, the Judge Louderback case, the Clinton case, and even the recent Trump cases in the United States. So nag-aral po ako, kumuha po ako ng bar exams din ng U.S. Constitutional Law during my younger days. So, pero sinasabi ko po ganito. Tapos na, ang 19th Congress is different from the 20th Congress. The business of the 19th Congress is totally different from the prospective business of the 20th Congress. At more than that, I've been saying this, the case was received by the 20. Hello.
Yes,
Hello.
can hear you.
The case was received by the 19th Congress, and the jurisdiction of an impeachment court is vested by law or the Constitution. The 19th Congress cannot confer jurisdiction to the 20th Congress. We're not constitutionally allowed to do that. So those are the basis of my reasoning. ladies.
Okay, but Senator, you did cite SC rulings in Neri versus Senate, Balag versus Senate, where all
Yes,
legislative
yes.
matters were terminated with the expiration of Congress. But then again, Senator, those
Yeah.
were legislative matters. But this impeachment trial, your duty here falls under Article 11 of the Constitution,
Yeah.
which
Correct.
you have to do to hold public officials accountable.
Yeah, you are, kumbaga, quasi-judicial and judicial, no? Just to add to Pauline's.
Not just quasi-judicial, it's a sui generis. Because we lawyers call it sui generis. So, you're correct in citing Balag, in citing Neri, but you have to remember Neri, when Justice Teresita de Castro mentioned that that statement that the Senate, though continuing, because it is not dissolved, cannot continue its business. So there is a big difference between the institution as continuing as well as the matters being tackled by that said institution, which cannot continue, whether it is legislative or impeachment or other business. It stops, it lapses, it dies with that Congress, so to speak.
What about your primordial role to uphold the Constitution?
We acknowledge that. We're not evading that. That's why if you read my speech, I start with the fourth with. It should be done soonest. In fact, I'm ready. I'm ready to perform my job. I have my robe. I've read and reread several times for the last several days the rules of evidence, which would be suppletory in terms of the impeachment trial. So I'm ready. We're not shrinking from our responsibility. The primordial role stays the same. In fact, the content of my theory is this: if we have to start the case, we have to do it now, but we have to end by June 30, because that's the time when the 19th Congress lapses.
So are you
If we have to do it day and night, we have to do it day and night.
So are you saying you're not inclined to support this resolution that's making the rounds of the Senate?
What I'm saying is this. I'm consistent with my speech. What I'm saying is this. If we do not finish that by June 30, it is considered as functionally dismissed by operation of the Constitution. I still hold that. And I am willing to perform. Even tomorrow, I can start. Sinabi ko nga, I even have a copy with me, the latest impeachment rules used by the U.S. Senate during the Trump impeachment trial.
Okay. Loud and clear.
I even have, yes.
Loud and clear on
hindi tayo
that.
umiiwas doon. Yung primordial duty stays, hindi tayo umiiwas. But finish it before June 30.
Okay. But having said that, no, Senator, and of course we hear you on that, your opinion, pag napunta sa inyo yung resolution and hindi na siya draft, let's say this resolution does get passed around, theoretically, are you going to support it?
I have yet to read the resolution, but if the content of the resolution is similar to my speech, which is now part of the records of the Senate, I will have to sign it. Because what you said a while ago, Senator Bato was inspired by my speech. So I have to be consistent with what I have delivered a few days ago,
Okay. So,
which is constitutionally sound.
The resolution
And legally
actually,
fair.
the resolution actually dismisses it. Dismisses the articles of impeachment because of the lack of time.
But what about the where assessed? I have yet to read it. What about the where assessed? If it is similar to my speech, I have to be consistent. I have to sign it.
so you really haven't gotten a copy because even some
I
of
don't
the
have-
incoming senators have gotten soft copies on Viber. We've seen it as well, Senator. No
I've
colleague
seen
has
some-
messaged you about it?
I've seen some Facebook accounts concerning it, but I don't have a printed copy. So this is my final word, perhaps. I stand with what I delivered last Monday on
Which
the basis
is
of the Constitution, which are,
Okay.
it's a 3-page speech. If you want to have a copy, it will come out tomorrow. I think it will be published by the Manila Bulletin.
Okay, but just to sum it up, the main point is that you want it finished by the 19th Congress
June 30.
before June 30, right?
June 30, yes. That's the constitutional clock deadline. Otherwise, anything that we do would be ultra vires or beyond our constitutional authority.
All right. That means you believe there is still time for the Senate, for the 19th Congress, for the Senate to
Definitely,
constitute
to finish.
itself as
Yes.
an impeachment
Yes.
court and to take up the matter.
Yes.
How would it
Yes,
happen, Senator? I
yes.
mean, just as it stands, if you look at the calendar, parang imposible na po yan eh. If you will tackle this on June 11, it's a holiday the next day,
I
you
don't-
adjourn on June 13.
Let's not raise our voices. You will have, cool it down,
Go
ma'am,
ahead,
ladies.
Senator.
I'm a lawyer several times. I teach constitutional law. The Senate President informed us that we will have a presentment this coming June 11, which in the first place, I'm not totally agreeable. Presentment should be done before an impeachment court. So we have to be constituted first, take our oath, and do our mandate as trial judges, not just before the plenary. So as I was informed, immediately after the presentment, we will be constituted as a court. There will be a time for the issuance of a summons and time for the respondent to answer. Thereafter, if it is 10 days, that would be June 21. And the clock starts ticking. We can do a pre-trial, we can do a daily trial, we can have stipulation of facts. We can do it. I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to head even a group of judges to receive evidence. So we can fast track this. But acknowledging the procedural rights of the respondent as well, the substantive rights, the right to speedy trial, and the right to have an impartial judgment.
Yung 10 days
That's
right
your
of
job.
reply kasi for Vice President Sara Duterte, that really takes up all the days. No? But I'm curious.
It can be shortened. It can be shortened.
Oh,
I think it can be shortened because the articles of impeachment is now of public record. It is not the first time that we will be seeing it. In fact, the presentment is just a ceremonial presentment, quote unquote. We have seen the articles of impeachment as early as February 5. There are no surprises here. The wordings of the articles of impeachment as shown to us, as filed last February 5, would still be the same articles of impeachment that we would be hearing come June 11. And the same articles of impeachment, I think, has been shown to the office of the Vice President. So there will be no
Senator?
surprises here.
Senator, very, very quickly lang, no? Were you informed na mapopostpone from June 2 to 11 yung reading of the articles?
Wala po.
So
wala
nagulat
po.
ka rin? Nagulat din kayo?
Textman.
Okay.
Textman.
I was curious. Sige. Thank you so much.
I'm supposed to be, ladies, I'm supposed to be the chairman of the Committee on Rules as majority leader. So, sa akin dapat unang babagsak yun. But I was not informed. Nalaman ko na lang nakatanggap kami ng sulat.
Okay.
So, the Senate President probably is in good faith. We presume regularity on the part of the Senate President. But if given the chance, I recall your words again, primordial, we are willing. I am more than willing. In fact, kung kailangan magbasa ko ngayong gabi uli ng rules of evidence, hindi lang in our jurisdiction, but even the federal rules of evidence, I will do that
All
to
right.
fulfill my duties.
Thank you so much, Senator Francis Tolentino, for joining us
Dagang
on the big
salamat,
story
ladies. Dagang salamat.
and for
Opo,
all your
salamat po.
clarifications. Marami pong salamat.